So today we're going to be learning how to make the three needle bind off, and this is done by working with two pieces of fabric which are left live with nothing bound off. So you can see here I've got two pieces of fabric, each 30 stitches wide, and they have been left live. Now I've got them on a circular needle just because I felt like it, but they can be on two separate needles. It's very much up to you. And the way that it's done is you put the two right sides of the fabric. So in this case we're working with the flat side of the stockinette rather than the bumpy purl side, and we're putting those together a bit like you would if you were seaming like a sewn garment. And then all in one step you are binding off the two pieces of fabric, but you're also seaming them. So not only does it create a really nice neat finish, but it's really quick as well. I actually prefer it to like regular seaming on the shoulders. I find that it gives a nice flat seam. I also prefer it to Kitchener, even though Kitchener is really nice. This actually gives a bit of structural integrity because it's neat, but it also has a seam, so the seam stops the fabric from stretching out too much compared to a Kitchener stitch. So that's why I prefer to use it on a shoulder, because you kind of need that structural integrity there, because you've got the whole weight of the garment leaning on those shoulders. Anyway, one piece of fabric has had the yarn cut. The other one I've just left the yarn end of the yarn, the ball end of the yarn attached to the fabric. So I've not cut the yarn for that one. And I put them, as I say, front side together. So the back sides are like that. And then they're both on the tips of the needle, because what I'm going to do is a bit like knitting two together. I'm going to work into the front of this stitch, and then I'm going to work into the front of this stitch, and then use the yarn and knit, a bit like a knit two together, and then slip both off the needle, and I've left with one stitch. So I've attached those two stitches together. Then I'm going to do the same on the second stitch, work into both of those, slip them both off the needles, and then what you do is, like you would if you were binding off, you're passing that first stitch over the second one. So I'm going to do the same again. So put my yarn, put my needle into the front of both of these stitches, knit them as if they were one stitch, slip both of them off, then pass this first stitch over the second stitch. So it is literally as simple as that. So I'm going to do it one more time for you. Wrapping it around, pulling that loop through both of the stitches as if you were knitting two together. So there we go, we've got two stitches now on the needle, and passing that slip stitch, and passing that first stitch over the second stitch. So there you go, you can see you're already starting to get a seam, and on this side of the fabric you can see that they're attached nice and neatly. So I'm going to continue across the row, bind them all off. Oops. There we go. Bind them all off, and then you can see how it looks when it's done. I don't have any scissors, so always prepared. Okay. So here we go. You can see that they are securely joined. The seam is lovely and neat, and it's really not bulky at all. Now it doesn't have much stretch, so bear that in mind. If you're needing a stretchy seam, you might be better off actually with the Kitchener. I think it has a bit more ease. But things like shoulders where you don't want them to stretch, it's awesome. And it works really well on stockinette, but don't be put off using it on, you know, cabled garments or things with a stitch. Just make sure that you just leave maybe one row here without the stitch, and then it, you know, binds together nicely. Now I use this in conjunction with short row shoulders, which leaves you with a row of short row. It's basically when you know when you'd normally bind off in steps, it uses short rows to create the slope, but it doesn't have that kind of jaggedy edge that you get. And when combined with this to sort of bind off at the end, oh, it looks amazing. It looks so neat. As soon as I discovered those two techniques, I stopped using anything else. So that's, you know, many years of using this technique now, and I haven't felt the need to upgrade it. It's really, really good. So if you enjoyed this video, please do like it, subscribe below, and share any questions or comments that you have in the comment section. Until next time, enjoy your knitting, and I shall see you very soon.